This Geekster Media production starts now.
Welcome to So You Want to Be a Geek, the podcast where we dive into the vibrant and ever-evolving world of geek culture. Whether you're a seasoned fan or just curious about what makes being a geek so special, join us as we explore everything from comics to movies, gaming, tech, sports, and everything in between. Each episode will bring you insights, interviews, and the latest news to fuel your passion and expand your horizons. So grab your favorite fandom and let's embark on this geeky adventure together. I'm Michael Canetti, and this is So You Want to Be a Geek. Hey geeks, we're here at Gotham City Collectibles in West Babylon, New York, and we're talking all things Magic the Gathering and cards. Let's get into it. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Geek, where we break down some of the most exciting hobbies, games, and passions into easy-to-understand conversations. Today, we're diving into the world of Magic the Gathering, a card game that has been enchanting players for over 30 years. Whether you're brand new to the game or you've played a few rounds, this episode is for you. We're here at Gotham City Collectibles in West Babylon, New York, to explore the history, strategy, and community of Magic. And I'm joined by one of the owners. Mike, welcome to the show. This is something I've really been interested in talking about. I've been wanting to learn a lot about Magic for years. I know nothing about it, and witnessing how the game has evolved and become so engaging with both new and seasoned players in your shop. We're here to talk about everything from what makes this game so captivating to tips for those who are just getting started. So sit back, shuffle your deck, and let's get ready to talk Magic. The first thing that I'm really curious about, being a total novice, how would somebody want to get into Magic?
Oh, that's a very great question, and I always recommend just trying the online games. Like, there's a bunch of online clients nowadays. Probably the best one is obviously the official one, the arena itself. That is probably the best way to do it because there's a lot of mechanics that, as a newer player, it's very overwhelming. There's a lot of keywords. It's a lot to go through. And just having the tablet or your phone, just being able to do it for you, it makes it a lot easier to go into it.
There's even an app to keep score now, like all kinds of stuff. There's tons of apps that, right, that do that kind of stuff.
The Magic Companion app is pretty good at doing that. It keeps your life total, and if you go to your local game store and you're playing in their event, you just put in their code and you get your parents on your phone now, which is absolutely insane.
Really?
Yeah, it's not. In fact, back in the day, you used to have to print them out on paper. So having the device just be able to just see your parents on the phone, it makes it a lot faster for like organizers and everything.
That's awesome. What do you think makes Magic so engulfing for people? They once they get into it, it's a drug.
Yeah, I would say probably just the sheer amount of cards, the amount of options that you do have at your disposal, especially obviously it depends on what format you're playing, but the different color combination, each color feels distinguished. Blue is notorious for just not allowing your opponent to play a game, and red's very aggro aggressive. It ignores basically summoning sickness was a main mechanic of the game.
Oh, really?
And black just having death touch. Be like, hey, if you destroy my creature, you're also going to die. So that's a very good one. And then just life gain is pretty cool. It's, for the most part, distinguished with angels and believers.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And which one am I missing? Green. Yes. I don't like green. It's never been a fan of it, but ramping is pretty good. You ramp up your mana. It's very good. And just playing 10 drop and 5 is pretty good.
Interesting. So much to know. This is going to be a deep conversation, everybody, because I have a lot to learn here. What's the first step somebody wants to do when they're starting to build their own deck?
I think the first question they should ask is which format are they playing? Because that is definitely going to affect what cards you will be buying, what packs you're playing. I would highly suggest going to your local game store and seeing what formats that they run weekly, because if you build your deck and you have no one to play with,
defeats the purpose,
it kind of defeats the purpose of a multiplayer game. Very popular format is Commander at the moment. It's a very social format.
I wanted to ask you about that. The two biggest ones that I keep hearing about is Commander and Draft. Can you kind of explain those two?
Yeah, so Draft is a pretty fun format. It's sealed. Everyone gets 3 packs at the table. You open the pack, you pass the cards to the left until there's no cards remaining. And then after that, You open the next packs, pass to the right, you alternate which way you turn. And it's pretty fun because you never know what you're going to get.
So it's kind of fantasy football in the way that you
Yeah.
sort of, because I'm a big fantasy football fan. I love drafting, and it seems when I've read about it and the way you described it seems very much that. It's just you're going through rapid fire, drafting cards, pulling them out of the pack, and that's really interesting. That sounds like a lot of fun too.
Oh, yeah. It's also really fun when you're drafting and you just pull this very expensive card and you're sitting there. Do I take it or do I make my deck actually good? It's a very hard position to be in. But yeah, it's just great.
That's hilarious. And what is Commander? How does that game work?
Commander is very long game.
Is it the risk of magic?
Yeah, the risk of you sit down at a table, probably 4 or 5 people. That's also another great thing is you can play with multiple people, and that's a lot of people have big fan groups.
Oh, really?
Big part. And you just sit down for 4 or 5 minutes, just hanging out, probably order a pizza or 2, and hey, just play Magic. I think that's the best part about it. Is just everyone's in for fun, unless you have that one guy in your group who doesn't fun,
who takes it a little bit more serious,
a little bit too seriously. Yeah,
there's always one.
There's always one. It's supposed to be someone playing blue.
That's funny. So. I know we talked a little bit about draft and Commander, but what is a standard format? Is there a standard universal way to play, or is it just
for standard format? Normally, back then they used to have blocks. I believe they changed it pretty recently, and unfortunately, I really haven't kept up with that.
That's okay.
Running all these other card games,
I'm sure
I really can't keep it. Yeah, most of the time you pretty much just stick with your one color,
nice.
1 or 2 colors.
Okay.
Probably the unfortunately standard really on the island
is not a thing.
It's not really a thing.
Okay.
If you want to play standard, I highly suggest playing on the Arena app. Long Island is mainly, I would say, more legacy and modern.
Okay, this is what I wanted to talk to you about actually, because there's this old school way of playing and now a new school way of playing, and why are they so? What's the dichotomy of that? It's just because it was just older cards, and
it's just the way the format is structured. It really incentivizes people to just build their decks a certain way. Because when you're playing in modern, it's not like you really have a rotation to deal with. That's a big thing. Because when cards rotate, typically they lose their value. When you play modern, you have a bunch of cards at your disposal. And just being able to just build your deck. And the power scaling of it is a lot better, in my opinion, than standard.
Okay.
It's very different.
Okay. Now, I've heard older cards because it was so early on. I mean, I remember covering this in Wizard magazine. It just in the early 90s when it just started coming to be a thing. A lot of the power sets and different cards were much less than they are today. There's just now this power graph written on some of these cards of what these things can do. Is that just because they're just trying to superheroes and almost up the ante on each what cards can do and stuff?
Yeah, and in a very certain type of way, yes. They're trying to incentivize people to play the newer cards. Of course, some of the older cards obviously are broken, just like Black Lotus.
Yeah.
They just had a ban list. It's very controversial.
Really? They banned cards because they're just too...
So in certain formats, yes. Commander, they just had a ban list. I'm sure you might have heard about it.
I've heard a little about it from friends of mine that play, and I didn't even know they could ban cards.
Yeah. It's very controversial because the ruling team who did the banning wasn't technically part of the production of the Magic game.
Really?
So they were printing sets that contained these banned cards. People would buy the sets for those specific cards because they're very powerful.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, oops, you can't play them now. So
wow. Now, do those banned cards now become worth more money because they're harder to come by now, or is it just?
It's quite the opposite because, in a certain way, they hold their value based off their playability.
Okay.
So a very powerful card, just if it's banned, you really can't play it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
However, this ban list is in effect for Commander. Of course, whatever your play group feels should be fine.
Okay, that's cool. Now, I want to hear a little bit about the history of your shop here, and I love that you and your dad started this business together. And I want to hear a little bit about how this came about, because you guys got a pretty decent following of people that come in and play tournaments and buy cards, and just I'd love to hear a little bit about your history.
Yeah, so when I was around 7 or 8,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get into Pokemon, and one of my friends from elementary school was also getting Pokemon at the same time, so it was great. I remember I was like, might have some old cards. Let me try to get those. I went into the attic, got this big box.
This is the original box, right?
This is, yeah.
This is the box.
This is the box. Obviously, there's some more cards in here now. Let's see what we got here. Okay. There's a lot of cards I got to go through in here.
They're in much better shape than my baseball cards in similar boxes.
They're some very expensive cards.
Wow.
Yeah, so I dug through my brother's cards and managed to get these cards.
I've been watching that show King of Collectibles on Netflix, and they keep pulling these cards, or they keep talking about these particular Charizard cards, and they're worth crazy money, and it's amazing, and they're beautiful cards. The reflector element of it, and just the fact that you have 3 of them is sick, dude. I mean, these are probably, I would say, these are high grade 8, 9s or better. That's awesome. These, I'm afraid to even touch them.
Yeah, if my dad didn't tell me not to play with them, they would probably be graded a 3. So this one.
Oh wow! Look at this thing. This is a Yu-Gi-Oh card here. This is really cool too, man. This is neat. It's so funny how these cards have created an entire culture and just a passion for people between the animated series and everything else. But it's a revolution in just creativeness, because the detail and the art and just the beauty of the card is magnificent. It's so cool, man. This is so neat.
You're talking about the Wizards magazine. This might fancy you a little bit. It has little Wizards of the Coast stamp on it.
Whoa, this is wow. Look at this thing. This is neat. I'm gonna hold that right up to the camera over there. Check that sucker out. This is really cool. Yeah, look, this is really, really cool. Amazing. And it's just the whole world is so fascinating, because there's so many different types of games you can play. And what made you and your dad decide to open this location and everything, just as a place for bringing a community together?
Yeah, so I think for me at least, back when I was trying to play the game,
Mm-hmm.
it was completely different.
Oh yeah,
It was the scene was completely different. The game played almost
totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Slow down. I was looking around, couldn't find too many shops. I found one shop, and I begged my dad. I was like, "Hey, please go to this tournament. I want to see what this is all about."
I remember there was a place, I grew up in West Islip, and there was a card shop in West Islip on Union Boulevard or Udall Road they did Friday night tournaments of Magic every now and again.
Was it Friday Neighborhood Comic Shop? Or?
Yeah, it was a comic shop. Yeah.
So we might have actually crossed paths then.
Really?
I mean, I would have been 8, 9. I would have been very young.
I got a few years on you, so I was probably about maybe 14, 15 or so. But I remember there was a comic shop and they would do Magic the Gathering tournaments on Friday nights, and I would pop in every once in a while. What is this all about? Just kind of check it out. That's so funny. The world is very small.
Very, very small, especially if you live along there.
Yes. Now, what I love about this shop in particular is you've really sort of started to build a community, which I think is really cool. And it's a safe space for people to come in and play, have a great time, hang out, play cards, just BS, and just talk about whatever it is, Pokemon or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! And all this kind of stuff. And I think that's really, really cool. You should be really proud. This is really nice. I remember talking about, wow, that's a cool shop, man. It's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, you got to everyone that comes in, of course, a little game store and stuff like that. I always recommend people, hey, go check your local game store.
Mm-hmm.
Always support your local businesses and everything.
Totally. No, that's a large part of this podcast is promoting small businesses and talking about the culture and just community that these places bring. Now, how do you compete with Target selling Magic cards and stuff like that?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Now, do they kind of get a limited variety of stuff versus you have a lot more diverse packs that you can pick from?
Yeah, so for the most part, they don't really get booster boxes. There's the big boxes that have probably 30 something packs in it.
Right.
So that's a big incentive. Some people want to buy the whole box.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, it's a little bit cheaper
Right.
than buying just individual packs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just when you go to a local game store, it's just a different environment.
Oh, absolutely. Because you
So-
could talk to somebody about it and ask questions and get familiar with the card or the packs and what packs are better for certain games than others. If you go to Target necessarily, you're just going to go there, grab a pack, and hope for the best kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not very. Oh, I'm gonna go here and maybe I'll talk. And, we'll see what else is in the set and we'll see what good cards I might have pulled.
But it's even comic shops. You go in there and you're browsing for comics or whatever, or cards, and you spark up conversations about different things people are passionate about. And I love that because it just sitting here watching when I first got here, just people just coming in, just hanging out and just talking and asking you questions. And it's all different types of cards. It was some Yu-Gi-Oh, some Pokemon, some Magic. And I find that really nice. It's got a nice energy about it, which is cool. It's awesome. So one of the things I'm curious about is, have you seen sort of the community itself evolve? What's the age range of people? Is it all ages or is it?
I would say it's pretty wide. I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, yeah. On the younger side, you got the Pokemon players. Older side, you got some more old school Magic players. Some people just play Legacy. And
Now, is there a dichotomy between people that want to play Magic versus people that want to do D&D? Are they kind of the same or mix and match?
well, recently we had a kind of a collaboration set between Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
It was,
really?
It was Baldur's Gate, and then there was Forgotten Realms,
Okay.
which is pretty good. They introduced a new mechanic. It was called you entered in a dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
You go through the dungeon, you get certain aspects and stuff.
Because even Lego did a partnership with D&D recently, and they released a whole bunch of minifigs around Dungeons and Dragons. And people were attacking the stores to buy these stupid Lego minifigs. This is insane. It's so wild. So one of the things that I'm very fascinated about in particular is you have these cards here, but this one they're double sleeved. And I understand as a baseball card collector, sleeving some of your, but why do people double sleeve it? And is it extra protection? And
Yeah, I mean, the extra protection is definitely a key aspect of it. It mainly keeps the edging of the card kind of fresh. 'Cause most times, if you look at your old Pokemon cards nowadays, they most have a white border on the edge right here.
Okay.
So sleeving them kind of keeps the condition a lot neater. It's kind of similar how when you go into a comic book store, they have the comic book
And then
in the bag
and board,
the
yeah.
cardboard. It's the same exact
Same
thing.
theory.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's a number of ways you can sleeve them up and everything.
That's awesome. Questions. All right. So, man, there's so many questions I could ask. One of the things I'm very curious about is the whole tournament aspect of it. And I mean, you have tables lined up here for nightly tournaments or weekly tournaments, stuff like that. But then there's big scale arena events as well. How does that all come about? How does that work?
Well, most of the time, if you go to your local tournament, local game stores, mainly we'll hold tournaments for specific games, specific days. There's a lot of people. There's
Really?
a lot of people that will show up for it. So typically in a tournament setting, most tournaments are Swiss, which means even if you lose, you still play. So you play a certain number of rounds depending on attendees. Most of the time, if you go to a game store, normally 3 to 4. Every once in a while, you might get a 5 to 6 round tournament, which is a long tournament. Typically, those rounds are either 35 to 50 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, those are long.
This could go late into a night, huh?
Oh yeah, there's been times I don't even go home.
Really? I got a cot in the back. I'll just
Yeah, sometimes I'm considering it.
That's hilarious. That's crazy. That's so. I mean, I've driven by and it's a Friday night. I was going to pick up pizza and there's a ton of people here. Ton of people here on a Friday night, like 10 o'clock at night or 9:30 at night, just playing cards. Now, this might be a really ignorant question to ask, but do people play for cards? If I lose my cards, or is it not really?
No, typically
It's like gambling is.
there's no typical gambling into it. Most of the time, you play for booster packs,
Okay.
and sometimes the store credits. if it's an OTS store, the official tournament store,
Mhm.
they will have these special packs that they would hand you. Most of the time, it's on entry.
Okay.
And kind of incentivize people to just come in and participate.
Mhm.
So even if you come and say you go 0-3, you lose 3 rounds in a row,
Mhm.
you still get something for participation.
Okay.
And that's I feel very good.
Yeah.
For a casual player, you
Yeah.
get more players in.
Oh, because I'd be that guy. They'd see me as a mark. Yes, we're gonna clean house on this
You're like,
guy.
oh, that's the new guy. All right.
Let's rough him up a little bit. That's so fun. Does your dad still play?
Every once in a while.
Oh, really?
He's you ever watch the original Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes.
Yeah. He's Yugi's grandpa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how I would describe it.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. It's cool. So, wow, we covered a lot of these already. So, how does it determine if a card is really valuable or not?
There's a couple aspects of it. Most of the time, depending on the game, it'd be playability wise. The other half is collectability.
Limited print run kind of stuff.
Limited print one, whether it's first ed or unlimited.
Mhm.
It's 2 different printings. The condition of the card. It is a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that goes
Oh,
into it. Yeah.
And even just grading comics, there's a whole industry of just grading cards.
Yeah.
And it's big business now. It's huge business. And I see them when I go to Comic Cons and they have just these graded cards and they're going for hundreds, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for some of these cards. It's just unbelievable for a piece of cardboard.
I never in my lifetime would think, wow, I have a chart. I could buy a house.
You could buy a house with those cards. Yes, it's amazing. So I've also seen that there's a big movement on YouTube of people just recording tournaments on YouTube. People just sitting there and watching these tournaments. Is it just for the entertainment aspect, or is it maybe to learn, or a little bit of both?
I would say a little bit of both. Most of the time, it would probably be a top player reviewing the tournament match. Oh, this person played this card for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the card games, it's basically influencing your deck in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So in Pokemon, at least, you search through your deck all the time.
Right.
So if you play a searching card and see, oh, well, this card is no longer in my deck, or that option is no longer on the table.
Okay,
So
interesting.
I had to shift my strategy a certain way. Yeah, and just being able to get cards out of your deck is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Because every turn you draw a card. Most of the time, if you're drawing cards, you want to make sure you have the best percentage of drawing card you need.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting cards out of your deck is very powerful.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool. Now, the thing that I find interesting is there's been a big movement of celebrities that have gotten into. The guy from True Blood is big in D&D, and Post Malone is huge into Magic, and I think Logan Paul or one of the Paul brothers is big into Pokemon. I feel as an outside, this has sparked the industry too. When you see Post Malone, who's ideally a cool musician, and he's excited about Magic, how has that influenced the market as well?
I would say it definitely has driven some more demand and very much, as you said, sparked very much interest. Because it gives card games another audience.
Mm-hmm.
So the typical person might not know Magic is still a thing.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, my favorite pop star rapper. Oh, they do this. Maybe I'll take a look into this and then be, oh my god, I played the same game as so and so.
That's so crazy. And now, I don't want to deter this as being a business owner, but is there a point where a person can have too many cards? I know people that have 2,000 or 3,000 cards, and how do you A, play all those cards, or B, what do you do with them? Just like with comics, I have 40 years of comics in my basement. My kids are going to have a real hell of a time getting rid of them when I'm dead.
I would definitely say it's great to have options,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you go, oh, I need this card for my deck. Let me go through my box, just see which cards I have. A lot of people building a lot of decks.
Mm-hmm.
You look at any Commander player, they probably have like 20 decks.
Really? Depending, and they'll come to a tournament with 10 or 15 decks with them, just to depending on who they're going to play, they'll flip them in and out kind of thing, or
well, in a tournament setting, you can't really switch your deck. But if you look around the room, and be like, hey, this is a very popular deck. Let me switch out my deck so it's less. I'm not going to lose as much to this matchup.
Interesting. Now, so you were mentioning about the different colors, right? So with regard, you have a handful of sleeves over here too. So those are clear sleeves. But will people then also put a red sleeve around?
Yeah, so typically we have ones that are these. These are inner sleeves.
Right. So these, so yeah,
So you put the cards
acid free and they're UV protective and all that kind of stuff. Or that's cool.
So that one's pretty nice. Typically, if you want a double sleeve, you put them in the inner sleeves first, and you typically would put them into those ones.
Oh, so this is a black matte sleeve. So if it's a black card, I might put I'll put a black sleeve on.
Some people color coordinate their decks.
I'm a nerd with. I'm OCD with that. What I would. Oh, the green card's got to be good. Got to go with green. That's cool though.
So happens I have green over here.
Look at that, apple green, no less. That's pretty cool.
That one's a pretty nice color.
It is pretty. It is. I mean, I can tell by the box. It's got to be a cool color. It's so. Oh my god, there's such a industry that revolves. It's not just the cards anymore. There's books. There's zip up albums that you have over here, and it's wild. This is so sick.
A whole industry sparks.
It's the trapper keeper of cards here. And this is cool though. This is a nice looking binder here. This is really neat.
Pretty fire, yeah. And it has zipper too, so the cards don't fall out.
Wow.
Old binders used to put them in top loading. So if you turn the binder upside down, they would fall out.
I would do my baseball cards as a kid all the time. I'm like, oh man, it was so annoying. So this Duskmorn, I've heard, is a new set type of a thing, and it's becoming very popular too. Right? What is it? Just the what makes them? Is it just because this is the new hot thing? I want to get in on it, or is it just
for most players they want to get the new cards,
right?
And most of the time the new cards are probably a little bit more powerful than the ones you have,
right?
This set came out at a good time because it's around Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a horror theme related to it.
Yeah, because it's what's this, House of Horrors or something it's called, or horror something?
Yeah, it's very horror theme related. There's a couple of clowns in there too.
I'm not a big fan of clowns. I can't watch that It movie at all. I will not watch it.
There's a new one that's out. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, there's some horror. I saw the trailer. It's like I'm out.
Yeah,
that was for me.
I saw 2 seconds and I was I'm out.
Oh my goodness. There's so many things. So you were mentioning what I find and Pokemon is still a big thing. I have my friends' kids are into Pokemon. Even McDonald's was selling Pokemon cards, Happy Meal, stuff like that. So I feel that's sort of the foray into bigger and more card games, stuff like that, right? It sort of evolves into, okay, you go from Pokemon maybe to Yu-Gi-Oh! To then Magic and so on and so forth. And how does that sort of, is it just because these cute little Charizards and whatever? I want to get a Pikachu, and it just kind of grows from there. Is it?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it's this is this animal's kind of cute, a little chubby, a little fluffy, and then it depends on also again the person. Say if you have an older brother, older sister, they go, "Oh, here are my old Pokemon cards. Here, you can have them." So it kind of
that's the gateway drug for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Pokemon is pretty much a gateway drug for card games. I would say. Say it's the snake that eats its own tail.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of that. We're getting to the point where people around my age are gonna start having kids. We still have our Pokemon cards.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna be like, hey, these are when I was a kid. You could have them.
Yeah.
And then it makes a whole.
Oh yeah. I have 2 daughters, and they're 8 and 5, and my oldest is starting to get into comic books now. So I'm buying her kids comic books, and then my younger daughter is getting into Lego, and I have all this stuff. Okay, good. They'll get into it now. But I'll give you a piece of advice though. As a parent, it costs you a lot.
Very expensive.
So I'll go into a comic shop and let's get into. Okay, sure. How do I say no to my kids? She just got that smile on her face. It is what it is. Oh my goodness. I love the art, the banners you have here, and it's just. But even this scares me here. You've got Disney trading card games. My daughters would be all over this. If they see an Elsa or something like that, forget about it. It's crazy. But that's what's kind of cool about Magic and these different card games. It's not gender specific, right? Anybody can play, anybody can get into it, and it's open to all. Which I find wonderful. Me as a 80s and 90s kid, you never saw a girl in a comic shop. Nowadays, it's I see more than ever, which I find so great. What do you guys do to bring in new customers, or what draws them in? It's just social media, or is it on the street?
Social media is a big part of it. I definitely say that. I would say looking more into social media, TikTok, that you probably scroll through it yourself. You see all the
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You see that That's kind of our version of infomercials.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, a lot of that. You scroll through, you go, "Huh, opening a pack. Okay, cool." And
This unboxing of packs thing is it's I feel, and this is kind of a relatively new thing, maybe in the last less than 10 years, right? But it's when people would go watch people play video games on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of
it's the
thing.
same aspect.
The same aspect. But, what's he gonna pull? What's he gonna pull? People go crazy over this stuff.
Yeah, it's really hyped when they pull a cool card.
Yeah. It's so neat. Now, one of the things I find so interesting is you have a bunch of dice over there too. Does Magic use dice at all, or is it just more pull card kind of a thing, or is it?
They do use dice. Typically, it's to calculate. Some people would use D20 for total, but as you said before, you use app for it.
Right, the app is so much easier. It's just fantasy football. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't do the math anymore.
Just calculate it. Most of the time, you can use D6 or any dice that you have. Some cards will be like, put X counters on this card. You would use those typically for that.
Okay. This episode of So You Want to Be a Geek is brought to you by Comics Capsules. These are a great product for protecting your comics. They are UV resistant, crystal clear. They are stackable. They fit in your regular long and short boxes. They fully encapsulate your comics with a flip top hinge that allows you to access your comics anytime you want. They'll even fit with the bag and board in the sleeve. It is really, really cool. They have this great little eye hook. I have some hanging up back there. I have some over there on display. Because sometimes you just want to display your cool comics without having to send them out to CGC and waiting and spending a fortune on getting them graded. This stuff works great. I really, really love them. You can even have like a dedicated label inside of them. They're super awesome. So our sponsor for this episode of So You Want to Be a Geek is Comics Capsule. Do you like hot sauce? I know I do. Well, one of our sponsors for this week's episode is Jablo Hot Sauce. They are a family-owned, locally produced, amazing Filipino hot sauce that was recently featured on Hot Ones. You're gonna love it. You can put it on everything from hummus to meats to vegetables, whatever you think of. They are a great company, family owned and locally produced Filipino hot sauce. If you want to find out where the punch is, check out Jablo Hot Sauce. Hey geeks, if you know me, you know that I love hats. And I have been, since we started this podcast, researching a company to produce hats for the podcast that I really, really want to promote and endorse. And I found an amazing company based in Arizona called Branded Bills. And they made this awesome hat right here with a leather patch, which is so perfect. It's got this raised print. It's really, really cool. They have snapbacks, they've got trucker hats, they've got fitted hats, they've got all kinds of style, and they really cater to me. My sales reps were so nice and so helpful. They answered a million questions, and they made these beautiful hats. I can't wait to order more. I absolutely love them. The quality of the material is impeccable. I can't believe it. I just wanted to take a moment to shout out Branded Bills. They are an amazing company. You should really check them out, especially if you have a podcast or a business or something where you want to give merch to people and promote your business. Branded Bills, man, this is the way to go. They have a great company. I strongly recommend them. Thank you again, Branded Bills. You guys are awesome. So we've talked a little bit about the Commander and Draft, which I think are the most popular games right now, right? Are they the ones
I would say those are the two most popular formats right now.
And then, so you can play one-on-one, but you can play with a bunch of people at the same time, right? With those kind of games, or is it
for Commander? You can.
For Commander again? Okay, cool, interesting. Oh, that's awesome. That's kind of fun because it's just rapid fire playing against each other. I think that's so cool. Now, do you guys do different nights for different types of tournaments?
Oh, yeah.
What are your nights for your events?
Should I start with Sunday or Monday?
Whatever you want. We'll do Sunday.
I know some people go, oh, the week starts on Monday, the week starts on Sunday. We'll go for Monday.
Okay.
So Monday we typically have a good amount of groups, 3 or 4 groups.
Okay.
So we got Dragon Ball, we got Yu-Gi-Oh, and
that's okay.
Oh, the new card game, of Union Arena.
Okay.
We're starting to do on Monday. Tuesdays is pretty good. We have Cardfight Vanguard, which has been around for 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like came around towards when Yu-Gi-Oh was in pretty okay spot. Kind of capitalized on that. And then Tuesday we also have One Piece, which is very popular
What's
right
that?
now. One Piece, the anime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that one's a very popular game right now.
Okay.
Netflix adaptation.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
live-
Netflix is a show about it. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, cool. I had a brain fart for a second there.
You see the One Piece. There's a couple things you can give me a One Piece chicken nugget. Better be a big chicken nugget if it's a piece.
That'd be one hell of a chicken nugget.
That's one hell of a chicken nugget. Wednesday night is our Commander night for Magic, and also Lorcana, which is also another new card game, as you were saying before. Also, it's very popular. Thursday night is the curveball. It's the very curveball. It's the one night that we don't really have a card game. We do Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Okay.
This is a big fighting game.
That's yeah. I mean,
don't know if you own a Switch, right? You play them all the time.
My daughters are begging for one right now. Oh my god! As long as we get Smash Brothers, I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Switch 2 might be coming out soon. So,
oh boy!
Yeah,
don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Well, if you're getting a Switch, I would definitely recommend getting the Switch. Or,
So,
at least for the younger.
So
kids.
what I'm going to get is, my wife and I have already talked about this. We get a regular Switch that the whole house can use, and then the kids will get a Switch Lite kind of a thing that they can. This way, it's much cheaper, and I don't worry about them smashing it.
Yeah, it's much cheaper. Some people may complain about the Joy-Cons not being able to come off. I think over time that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Game Boy as a kid. It was this big with a green screen as a kid.
But yeah, no, the guys that come in for Smash, they're crazy.
Oh, really?
Like, actually insane. Yeah. So right now it's quiet now because school started.
Yeah. But I bet over the summer it was
over the summer. Oh my god, you could not find a chair. It's over 50 people, and we get some pretty good players. Some top. They have a player global ranking.
Do they really?
PGR, yeah. We have a couple players. Is it okay if I name them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
There's one that's called Mystery. He's very good at the game. Plays Lucina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sword character. It's great. We also have PK Chris, who plays Ness. He's probably the best players that I've ever seen play this game. Yeah.
And they come here and hang out.
They come here, hang out,
and just
awesome.
whoop people's asses.
Yeah, pretty much for the most part. Yeah. It's typical that you would see them in grand finals and everything, but you watch the game, you go, all right. So they threw out this move to counter this, and it's just great.
It's fun to watch, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I have no clue how to play it, but it's great to watch.
That's so cool.
And then Friday night's the big night, of course. Friday Night Magic.
It's been that way for 30 years. 30 years has been Friday Night Magic has been a thing for as long as I can remember. Yeah. It's crazy. And is it any tournament they want to play, or is it just
Friday night? Typically, at the moment, we've been doing drafts. It's been very good, very fun. I would say it's definitely more of a fun format. When you have standard and modern, typically you go, all right, what's the best 60 cards I can play?
Okay.
Put those together. Draft is you just don't know what you're gonna get.
Right. You know? But that's kind of the fun of it, though, because you could pull a bunch of junk, or you could pull a hell of a card, and you're just, this is going to be a fun night.
You could whatever over here. You could pull one of these fancy cards over here. Possibly pull one of these One Rings. I don't know if it comes in that rarity in the set, but if you were drafting Lord of the Rings.
So this is a Lord of the Rings Magic card, and it's got the reflective of the ring. Wow, this is a sick card. It's a sick looking card, man.
It's not the One Ring. Post Malone has that, but
does he really? Of course
he does. He bought that.
Probably spent about $2 million on it.
Dude, that was expensive.
Oh, sure.
It was very expensive. I think they graded it out of a 10 and 8. And how did you grade an 8 if it's one of one? What did you compare it to?
Yeah, exactly. How do you compare that to anything? That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, Friday night.
A lot of Red Bull for you that night.
I'm lucky if I get to go home at 2:00 in the morning. So we got Magic, we got Yu-Gi-Oh, we got Vanguard. Each tournament, 4 to 5 rounds each, all running a different timer, and that's a lot of people. To put it in perspective, that's 15 to 25 people per event.
Wow, that's a lot of people in here, man. It's just going nuts. So when was this store opened?
This location around the tail end of COVID.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, right when we were getting prepared for everything to go back.
Right.
course, we didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
I don't think anyone really knew what was going to happen. So we opened the store, went more on the smaller side because like worst case scenario, be like, okay, we'll do online,
Right.
stuff. I didn't expect every chair to be filled.
But that's just, I mean, that speaks a lot for you and your dad and this community that you've built here. And people want to, especially now post COVID, people are still trying to get their sea legs back, but be able to want to come out and hang out and play cards and chit chat and have pizza and just have a great time and just be social again is a nice feeling. I love that. That's awesome, man. That's really fantastic.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a great social aspect to your local game store. It's if you don't want to go to a club or whatever, go to your local game store. Dude, most of the time, everyone's really friendly. You just talk to anyone in the store.
And that's the thing. I have I'm a college professor, and I have a lot of students that have various insecurities or they're introverted and stuff like that, but a lot of them play cards. And I see them just hanging out playing cards, and it takes them out of their shell a little bit and lets them just be themselves. And whatever that means, they get to be themselves and have fun and laugh and have a nice time and feel they're being social, which I think it's a big deal. Yeah. That's awesome.
I think one of the big reasons why it kind of brings people out that normally wouldn't go out is you go to a card store, everyone has a common interest.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to spark conversation. Be like, oh, what deck you playing? What game you playing tonight? And just being able to have a conversation about these card games, again, the social aspect
is a big deal.
Very, very big deal, especially after COVID.
Yeah,
a lot of people they were on Discord all day.
Yeah, like, all day long.
I was one of them. So yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of special, man. You should be really proud of that. That's fantastic. And my goodness, we can go on and on for hours and hours. What are your favorite things to play? It could be Magic, it could be whatever games you play.
I would say at the moment, I'm a huge Pokemon fan, so I very much enjoy playing Pokemon. I don't really get too much time to play, but when I do, it's I get to
play for hours.
Gear. All right, I'm gonna build this deck, and this deck. That one's really good. Every once in a while, I'll play a game of Commander, sit down, and probably get targeted and get kicked out of the pod in 2 seconds. Vanguard is pretty fun. I would say that one's more on the fun side. Yu-Gi-Oh is a little. I can't read those cards. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. So it's
tell me about it. I'm just
most of the time I'll just be just tell me what the card is. I'm gonna look at the picture. You tell me what it does. Sure, buddy. Yeah, all right.
Sounds great. No. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. So, what are some of the things that you can sort of speak to that you have seen in the evolution of just the industry in general?
Oh my God, there's a lot to go over in that one. I guess the big evolution is just online marketplaces. You go online, most places will probably use TCG Player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the shift towards online marketplaces is definitely a big influence because I remember back in I'm gonna date myself. Back in the day, we didn't have that.
No, we did not.
I mean, I'm not that old, but like, we didn't have. Oh, I need this card. Let me just order it. We did, but we didn't.
Yeah, but even the reseller market on eBay and different marketplaces to buy cards is just it's big business, and it's and people they'll go out and hunt a card crazy.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you just need that one card to make your deck. And you just all right. Let me just see if I can find it.
How much I have my paycheck this pay period? All right, well, I'm getting this card.
Yeah, be like, I got a credit card. Let me just swipe it. We'll deal with it later.
Now, do you ever, when you're having tournaments here, people are, oh damn, I gotta go buy a pack of cards. They'll get up and just give me 3 packs right now.
All the time. Be a mid-match. Because if you're losing, you lose your match. You go, I need to go let me just pack.
It's retail therapy.
Oh yeah.
That's funny. I would be that guy. Oh, this deck sucks. I'm gonna go buy 2 packs right now.
I've had times where I'm sitting here. I could open whatever I want right now.
Yeah.
I can't open this right now.
That's funny. So, we never went over. What do you guys do Saturdays and Sundays here?
Saturday is.
That's okay.
Saturday, we normally do Pokemon in the afternoon. 12 o'clock to 3. That's more of playing for games.
Right. Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday is mainly for special events too.
Mm-hmm.
So say if there's a store championship for, let's say, Locana, we just had one on
Right.
Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically for tournaments that mainly some pre-releases also as well. Saturday we also have One Piece again,
Okay.
which is again popular.
Yeah, totally.
It's very good. Most of the time sets come out on Friday. So
I was just going to ask that because music comes out Fridays, comics come out on Wednesdays, cards come out usually on Fridays.
normally on Friday, at least for everywhere.
Mhm.
If you are an official tournament store for Konami,
Mhm.
so you go. Typically, OTS release is Wednesday, so
Okay.
stores are allowed to sell it on Wednesday, but they're not tournament legal till Friday.
Oh, interesting.
So while you still get the cards,
You can't play it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
If you're a Pokemon store, typically if you do pre-releases,
Mhm.
The big contender of that one. You normally get a Monday release of that week instead of a Friday.
Okay.
Most people don't know that.
Right. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah.
So most of the time people will come in on Friday.
Mhm.
And it'll be, oh my god, you have it? I've had it for almost a week. Yeah, so Saturday's pretty good. We also have one of the newer card games.
Mm.
I say newer because this card game's popping up everywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We have a card game called Shadowverse.
Okay.
They had an app a while ago, and now they're implementing it into physical card games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very popular. A new set just came out, actually. I think it's called Cinderella Girls, like Idol 1. We also have Arena again, which is very pretty cards, actually. Let's see if I have it over here. They have a bunch of anime adaptations. Which animes have you watched growing up?
I'm sorry?
Which animes have you watched growing up?
Oof, growing up, I was very big into Cowboy Bebop. A little bit of Dragon Ball and that kind of stuff. What's the one that they made the remake movie with Scarlett Johansson, Ghost in the Shell, that kind of stuff. Those stuff that was the anime that I watch. Oh, these are those sign cards you were telling me about. Holy moly! Look at these.
Those are beautiful.
They are sick cards, man. These are neat.
Currently, for Union Arena, there's Hunter, X Hunter, and Bleach. Those are pretty good popular animes. Pretty soon we're gonna have JJK, and also Code Geass, One Punch Man. I believe also My Hero is gonna be there as well.
Really? One Punch Man is very popular.
One Punch Man is extremely popular.
That was a cool show too. I did watch that too. That was neat. Wow, these are neat, man.
Just circling around. We also have Dragon Ball Special Events. That is a very beautiful secret rare from, I believe, the most current sets.
Dude, I'm afraid to touch this card. It's so beautiful. Look at this thing. This thing is nuts.
That is
This is
very beautiful card. Let's see what else we got here. We also have this one. These ones we would call, most people would call them God rares. Those are the chase cards that you would want out of those sets.
Now, did you pull this out of a pack, or are these just stuff you've got from?
Every once in a while, someone will come in with it
And sell it? Want to sell it?
and want to sell it. It will always caught me off guard. I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll buy it.
I'll take it off your hands for you.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. This is so neat.
Yeah, well, if you don't.
Yeah, I don't
we're
mind.
talking
Listen,
about,
I'm all in. I'm
cards.
game.
That one's a very important one. That's a serialized 10th Doctor. Serialized cards are getting very popular nowadays.
Wow.
I believe they're taking a page out of sports cards.
Oh,
that
yeah.
have signatures and like serialized cards. It's insane.
Listen, it's again, like I said, it's become big business. This is to tap into the Doctor Who world in Magic is, and you can play this card against people. It's.
Oh yeah, you can play the card. I mean, there's a lower rarity that you would probably want to play, but yeah. So if you want to feature these ones as well, these are staff promo cards that stores typically get for running events and everything. Typically for those ones, those are Pokemon ones.
Wow.
They give them to stores. Not supposed to sell them, so every once in a while you'll find them on eBay. Those are people who are not supposed to sell them. You're supposed to give them to your staffs and everything. I would view them as, so I always view anything that the company gives us to give away, typically as gifts.
Right.
I do not that they are getting more incentivized to sell.
Yeah. Well, that's something that drives me crazy with the reseller market. Is I remember I used to collect a lot of the Funko Pops for a while, right? And you go to New York Comic Con, they have an exclusive Qui-Gon Jinn, right? And the Funko Pop was $12 at New York Comic Con. 5 minutes later, it was on eBay for $300. And I'm, dude, that's not the point of the collecting thing. It hurts the industry because it's okay. You're just a reseller. You don't care about these things. I do as a collector. I recently joined Whatnot, and I've been selling off some of my older stuff. And one of the guys that follows me on Whatnot was, you actually are selling these things because you care about the thing. You're not just trying to buy it to resell it. And I thought that was a nice compliment that he paid me, because I was, I don't have room for this anymore. If this could go to somebody else, I'd be happy with it. But I'm not going to try to sell this for $300 because it's not fair.
Yeah, I didn't pay anywhere close to that. So
yeah,
but unfortunately, that's kind of, I would say, a plague on the industry.
It is,
especially every collectible industry.
Yeah, every collectible, comics, statues, figures, cards. Yeah. It's a real problem, and it becomes very annoying. And I've started to even. A lot of companies that sell collectibles, they'll set a limit of 2, and then they'll sell them out so fast because the resellers are just boom, 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 and buying them up. And you're all right, well, now I got to go on eBay and spend triple the price. It's so annoying.
I had a friend that was trying to get the Terrifier 2 popcorn bucket, I believe.
Oh yes.
That was the movie I was thinking about before that with the clown. And he got there, and the guy who got there before him, he was like, "Yeah, I drive all the way up from Queens. I bought all of them. Don't even bother going in, bud." And I'm just, you make it, people like that, I very much don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, me neither.
Because you're kind of killing it for everyone who actually wants the stuff.
Yeah. And same thing happened with the Batman bucket. Batman Day, they released Bat Signal one. People were just buying them up crazy, and then they're selling them on eBay for $200. It's a $30 bucket, dude. Really? Come on.
I very much think that, especially in the card game industry, that happened during COVID.
Yes.
That very much happened during COVID. Big all time. The short prints and everything. A lot of people got into it. I mean, as we were saying before, celebrities, Jake and Logan Paul got into it.
Oh, big time, yeah.
That affected it. The short prints of COVID happened, and people just
took advantage of it.
They took advantage of it. Yeah. They wanted something that was a pseudo stock market, and they don't care.
Yeah,
they just want their money.
It's their NFT, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you could say that about a lot of industries, especially nowadays. A lot of people just get into it just to make money.
Yeah, just to make money. Yeah,
you can tell. It depends on the person. But if you talk to the person, and you can tell they don't really care.
Yeah, or they don't know.
They don't know anything about it, and you're just all right. Well, you're just
doing this to get a cash grab.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're just doing it. You're just trying to get advantage of it.
Yeah, totally. No, I mean it's a real thing, and it makes me sad because I this stuff, people this stuff, and I can't get it without spending an arm and a leg for no reason. But pardon me, grab.
Yeah, 3 of them. Oh, make the ultimate dragon.
But then there are people, like your customers here, and when they get these kind of cards, they cherish it, right? It means something to them. Me, when I get I just recently, I'm into reading comics and stuff like that. And as a kid, I struggled with dyslexia, and I had a hard time reading. And my dad got me into comics as a way to help me read. And I still have my #1 comic from when I was a kid. And I just found a graded version of it on eBay, and I got it for $40. It was for me, it was worth 10 times that. But I showed my dad, and I'm like, "Dad, look." He didn't even remember the comic that he got me. And I'm like, "Look, I found a newer version of the same book." And I cherish that kind of stuff. And we as collectors and fandoms of these different things, it has value. It has more sentimental value than actual value. And then when you have people that are going to go, "I'm going to take this card and I'm going to send it for $500, it's okay. Now I can't get it for somebody that would love to have it.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really glad we talked about that, because I was thinking about that a lot, because I know that's a thing in the Magic industry, and all these card games, they're just crazy money, and it's wild.
Sometimes when a new set comes out and people come in to buy it, um, obviously pre-sale value is a very inflated thing.
Oh yeah.
Everything has. So people come in and be like, hey, can I get a boost? How much are you charging for the box? I tell them the price, and they look like they're shocked. Like, I just told them I have the Holy Grail or something, and they go, "You're not selling it for this price?" I go, "No. Why would I sell for that price?
Right.
I'm not here to
It's not
gouge your pockets
yeah.
out.
You're being realistic with your
exactly.
And
I want everyone to have a fair share.
Yeah, and be able to enjoy it, and I love that. So that's fantastic. And to sort of wrap up, because we could talk forever, but I know you got customers, you got stuff to do. Where can everybody find you on social media, and how to promote the business?
I would say Instagram, Facebook. I would say Gotham City Hobbies and Collectibles. Just look for the skyline for the most part, black and green.
Very cool. Awesome. Dude, this blew my mind. This was way more than I ever expected. So this was fantastic. And thank you for opening the shop up to me to talk about all this stuff, because there's so much more. I'm sure I'm going to leave here and be like, I could have asked these questions too. So again, thank you so much for everything, dude. It was fantastic. It's been a pleasure meeting you and hanging out, and good luck to you and your dad. And thanks again. Really appreciate it. Well, that's it, everybody, for this episode of So You Want to Be a Geek. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can follow us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at SYWTBAG, which is SYWTBAG. Check us out on YouTube. You can follow us on all your favorite podcasting platforms, and go to our TeePublic store to get some nice merch and promote the podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now, everybody. Well, that's our show. I want to thank Gotham City Collectibles for hosting us and teaching us all about Magic the Gathering and a lot of other card games that I had no idea about. So I am super excited and thankful for Gotham City Collectibles for hosting us. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes, folks, as we've got some really good stuff coming down the pike. We're trying to move to a twice-a-month podcast now going forward. So stay tuned and stay geeky, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode of So You Want to Be a Geek. We'd like to thank the Geekster Media Network. I'm Michael Canetti. I'm your host, producer, and editor. We hope you enjoyed the journey into geekdom as much as we did. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at SYWTBAG for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more geeky goodness. Have a topic you'd like us to discuss, or a guest you'd like to hear from? Let us know. So you want to be a geek at gmail.com, and stay up to date and join the conversation. Until next time, keep embracing that inner geek, and remember, the adventure never ends.
This has been a Geekster Media production.